This video is brought to you by Against the Flow of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is a book about Jake Fayard, a Marine veteran who is unhappy with the political machine running the state of Mississippi. He decides to fight the corruption from the inside. Jake will face more challenges than he ever has and will stand up for what he thinks is right. His notoriously hot temper will push him to the edge of murder, along with his friend and brother Kobe Barhanovich. Together, they will fight the system and give the power back to the citizens of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is now available on Amazon. A link to the book will be placed in the description below.
Count time on the compound. All inmates return to bunks. Beyond the count, life on the compound. Brought to you by former Sergeant Allen of the Florida Department of Corrections. On this YouTube channel, I will explain to you the ins and outs and the do's and don'ts of a prison. Hope y'all enjoy. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And if you are a brother or sister correctional officer, y'all remember, be safe, and we never walk alone.
Alright, y'all. So, I can't believe I'm reading this. You know what? Yes, I can believe it. This is from NBC News. 3 Florida correctional officers charged with murder in back alley justice of beating an inmate. You know, I'm not even going to read the whole article. This kind of shit needs to stop. We are correctional professionals. We are correctional officers. We uphold the law. This is a job that I am proud to do every day. And this is my former department that I'm talking about, the Florida Department of Corrections. I believe this happened at Dade, CI. I get that inmates will piss you off. It's a known fact of the job. It's almost an inmate's job to piss off a correctional officer. When you think about it, how many of us get pissed off at an inmate? Big hand going up. You damn right I do. I get pissed off. Inmates piss me off in a 12-hour shift. I would say at least hourly, inmates piss me off, sometimes more. I've been doing this job for the better part of 5 years now. I've worked 4 different departments. Some I didn't stay long because of, well, one was pay and the other one was just distance, and gas hit $4 a gallon, and I drive a big V8, and it was an hour and a half one way to work. But I don't believe in brutality. Have I had to go hands on with an inmate? You bet. You bet your ass I have. I have absolutely had to go hands on with an inmate. But there's a way to do it. Have I had to go hands on with an inmate that has pissed me off? Yes. You know what happened? I used my use of force matrix. Use of force matrix is equal or one above force versus resistance. And when all resistance stops and compliance is gained, all force must stop. Have I wished in my career that there's just some inmates that I could just take out back and beat the shit out of? You bet. There's not a correctional officer out there that hasn't had those thoughts. But what sets us apart is we don't act on them. Now, I don't know if these guys are genuinely guilty, if they were there, if they falsified paperwork. I don't know what happened. Don't know the full story. But do you know why I have never been sued by an inmate? Why I have never had a bad use of force? It's simple. I follow the rules. Inmate pisses me off, I'm not going to go hands on with him just to show my balls. You know, I'm not going to whip out my manhood and compare it to his. There's no use in it. We're supposed to set the example. We're supposed to be better. We're supposed to be the positive influence in that inmate's life. We are supposed to set the example for them to follow. We are law enforcement. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I am a law enforcement officer. I enforce the law in a place that houses known criminals. Every correctional officer does. That is our job: care, custody, and control of the institution and those in our custody. It's a job I'm proud to do. And because I'm proud to do it, I don't violate the law. Yeah, I'm not busting people on the street. Don't care to. Wouldn't want to do that job. Wouldn't want to be a street cop. Have no desire to be a street cop. Have no desire to get certified for the street. I am a correctional officer and I am proud of it. Do I have to show restraint? You bet. Tell you the truth, as a CO, 5 years into the game, I probably take more shit now than I did 10 years ago. I don't take much shit, but there's ways I handle it. When I get an inmate that mouths off to me, I don't just go slap him because it's unprofessional. It's not the proper way to do it. I don't gas him. I don't tase him. I don't beat the shit out of him. If an inmate wants to throw a cup of piss or shit at me, which I think is what happened with this case in Dade County, in Dade CI, I think that's what happened. I think it was a mental health inmate with a Rayford cocktail. I have no desire to do anything other than my job in that situation. You know what I do? You know what policy says to do? If an inmate is in a confinement unit and he's showing his ass, you counsel him. If the officer can't counsel him, you call a confinement sergeant. If the confinement sergeant can't counsel him, okay, now you get the OIC in there. OIC would be, I believe he was over mental health, which has their own lieutenant. You get the lieutenant in there, or the captain in there if the lieutenant's not there, because I think the confinement lieutenant is on admin. I don't know what shift it happened on. Get the OIC in there and you put the inmate on camera and give him a final order. If he's still non-compliant, he's still showing his ass, or you deploy chemical agents on him. Unless he's in there with a weapon. If he's in there with a weapon, you go suit up, you get a 5-man cell extraction team, and you pull him out. If he throws a cup of shit on you, I'm sorry, but you can't just beat the shit out of the guy. You certainly cannot kill him. There is nowhere that is written anywhere in Chapter 33 Florida Administrative Code. I know I don't work for the state of Florida. I don't even live in Florida anymore. But I know these. I know that under nowhere in Chapter 33 do you beat the shit out of the guy. You don't. There's nowhere that's written that you do that. There's nowhere that's written that throwing a cup on an officer should result in deadly force. Obviously, it was deadly force. The guy died. And I'm not trying to convict these officers before they go to trial. I'm not for that. But I know this. I know Dade CI's got a bad reputation. I know Region 4, and I worked in Region 4. I worked at Everglades. I know Region 4 has a bad reputation. I had people in North Florida when I was at Century, and people that I knew from working at Rayford that told me, do not go to Region 4. Because of the reputation. Again, I'm not trying to condemn these officers. If they were in the right and it just happened, excited delirium, whatever, killed the inmate, they should be cleared. But I got a funny feeling that that's not the case. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people commenting, and I'm sure I'm going to get a few phone calls over this video from people I know saying, no, Anthony, it didn't work that way. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. There's a way to do things, and there's a way not to do things. We all get pissed off, we all gonna get mad. We all have this feeling in us where when a cup of piss or a cup of shit comes flying at us, we tend to get in our feelings. We tend to get mad. It's natural. You can get mad. It's normal to get mad. It's understandable. But what I don't understand is beating an inmate to death. Actually, it does say, beating is alleged to have occurred after an inmate in the mental health unit at Dade CI was reported to have thrown urine at one of the officers. That happens every day. First off, that's a special housing unit. If an inmate threw a cup of piss at an officer, why did he have the cup? I am notoriously anal about inmates in a special housing unit, confinement, CM. I've never worked mental health. That's one thing I haven't done. I've dealt with mental health inmates, but I've never actually worked mental health. I am anal about no cups being in there. I will give you a cup at feeding time, and I will collect that cup afterwards when I collect your tray. Why do I do this? If I see a cup in a cell, I'm going to order the inmate to give it to me. Oh, Sarge, I got to have something to drink. I don't care. Why? Because I don't want a cup of piss thrown on me. And if I'm in a confinement unit that's got grill gates, such as, to give you an example, Century Correctional Institution has Y dorm. Y dorm is a block. You got 2 long blocks and 2 short blocks. They knew when I walked in there, I'd tell them, all right, I'd get on the loudspeaker in the control room. All right, gentlemen, I'm coming through. Make it snow. Good morning. And by making it snow, you can watch the camera. The cups are coming out because they knew I'm coming in there to get them cups. The reason is I don't want a cup of shit thrown on me. Not to mention, it's contraband in confinement. Regular two-man cell, they're allowed to have it. In confinement, no. So this beating of this inmate, and this happens all the time. I'm not going to deny it, but it shouldn't. We should all be better trained than that. We should all have our tempers in check. And if you can't, you got something going on, you go to work pissed off because your wife is fucking around on you, your dog died, your mother's sick, whatever. I don't care. If you bring that shit past the metal detector, you bring it onto the compound, you're out of uniform all day. I've gone to work pissed off, personal issues, had issues with my daughter, had issues with various girlfriends, had issues with my truck, my car, but I'm the same every time I walk in the compound. Took me a long time to learn that. But just to kill or beat the shit out of somebody just because you're mad, you have no business being a correctional officer. You never did. You're not my brother. You never were. In Florida, we have a saying, we never walk alone. That's half a sentence. The other half of the sentence is except to the IG's office. Well, let me tell you something. Had I been there, you damn sure walked alone to the IG's office. I'm not covering for you. And if somebody from my current department sees this video, y'all work with me, you ought to know me by now. Most of you. I'll back you up. But if you do something stupid like that, you're on your own, walking to the IG's office. I'm not going to cover for you. I'm not going to falsify paperwork. I'm not going to falsify a statement. You're not worthy of it. You're not a worthy brother. You're not worth my job. You're not worth me going to prison to back up your dumbass actions. In fact, you deserve to go to prison. Better enjoy ramen noodles and honey buns. Because I'm not backing you up. You beat an inmate stupid, you get what you got coming to you. And what you got coming to you is time and a lot of it, and you should. We are correctional officers. We should be held to a higher standard. Just like cops on the street should be held to a higher standard. If I see a street cop violating the law, think I'm going to have his back? No, nobody should. That cop needs to be washed out and locked up. Same with a correctional officer. You beat the shit out of an inmate, you get a set of these, and you should. Now, I'm a hard ass. There's nobody that'll deny that. There's people that have worked with me in Florida, in Louisiana, and here in Mississippi that will tell you that I am a hard ass. I do not take sass from an inmate, but I don't go slapping them or beating the shit out of them or killing them because they pissed me off either. I don't like wearing them. I've worn them before. Just something about wearing handcuffs is enough to keep me in line. You want to be stupid? Be stupid on your own. You want to go ahead and take your aggression out? You're in the wrong line of work. Not to mention, you're going to get somebody hurt, and that somebody might be me. And then you obviously don't care about my safety because while you're getting carted off the compound in handcuffs, somebody's got to deal with the mess that you've made. That's going to be your fellow officers that you have pissed off these inmates by violating policy, by violating the law. Now we got to pay the price. I don't like paying your dues. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to think about. Well, what's not, and everybody's seen the old prison movies, Shawshank Redemption, where the correctional officer pulls out the nightstick and gut punches the guy with the nightstick. Oh man, he got him good. That's Hollywood. Things aren't done like that anymore for a reason. Thank God. It's assholes like this that have cameras watching people like me. And the public looking at me like I beat inmates and love it. It's got law enforcement officers looking at us like, oh, yeah, man, all you are is just somebody that you can get away with violating the rights of an inmate, whereas we can't. No, that's not the case. If you can't act right, if you can't do your job, do me a favor, type up your resignation letter and turn in your uniform tonight, right now, this very minute. If you have a problem with anything that I just said, you have no business being in corrections. None. Absolutely none. You think you can just come in here and beat inmates that piss you off? You've got no business in corrections. I've got no problem using force if it's required, but I avoid it at all costs, up to the point to where I have to use force. And when I have to use force, it's warranted. Have I made mistakes in corrections? Oh, yeah. Oh, I've made plenty. I don't know anybody that's been doing this longer than 2 weeks that hasn't made mistakes working corrections. It's going to happen. Mistakes will be made. We are not judges, we are not juries, and we are not executioners. That's not our job. Our job is not to punish inmates for whatever their crime is on the street. Their punishment is being in prison in our care. That is their punishment. I don't care if it's a I don't care if it's a thug with 15 bodies on him, a serial killer, a mass murderer, a serial child rapist, or the guy that's been arrested for third offense driving under a suspended license or check fraud. You treat every inmate the same. And since this happened at a mental health institution, let's go ahead and bring this out too. I can tell you that here in the state of Mississippi, mental health doesn't seem to be high on the priorities list for money, for budgets. Sad but true. Places like Whitfield, which is our state hospital, are underfunded. So we're seeing a lot more mental health cases in jail. I work for a county jail. We're seeing more inmates coming in there that honestly, in my opinion, should be in mental health institutions. Well, they're going to acute care and mental health institution. It's happening. Some of these guys that are in there that have mental health issues should never be on the street. They can't take care of themselves. They will reoffend. Now, Florida has mental health institutions in prisons. Santa Rosa CI, Dade CI, Lake CI. I think Columbia CI as well is a mental health. We have to learn to adapt and understand our inmates. I'm not saying we got to coddle them. You'll never hear me say coddle an inmate. But a little bit of understanding of what you're dealing with will probably help your job. And following policy and following your post orders. This is your job. This is what you are paid by the taxpayers to do. The old run and gun and beat the shit out of everything that gets in your way and pisses you off is dead. We don't do that anymore, especially not in Florida. And I thank God for it. You can go to work and you can be a hard ass and not beat the shit out of inmates. I do it every day. I am probably the hardest officer at my job. I am probably the officer that is the least likely to take shit off an inmate at my job at the facility I work at. But there's a way to do it and a way not to do it. You can follow policy and procedure. You got one that's showing his ass, mental health or otherwise. There's ways to do it. You can put paperwork on him. You can see him if he calls for it. You give him a DR. You can put him in confinement. You can do things. There's ways to do it. There's ways not to do it. Killing a man for throwing a cup of piss on you, honestly, in my opinion, that just makes you definitely not worthy of a uniform. I wore that gray uniform in Florida for over 3 years, and I was damn proud to do it. I'm proud to wear the uniform I wear now. You can do it right, or you can act stupid and get hurt and get somebody else hurt. Or you can get real stupid and go from wearing gray to wearing blue really fast. Y'all think about it. Be safe.